Hello everyone, I'm Ben Johnson and this is the Perpetual Chess Podcast. On Perpetual Chess, I have weekly conversations with chess players, personalities, authors, and adult improvers about their lives, their careers, and about chess improvement. Perpetual Chess is brought to you through the generosity of its Patreon and PayPal supporters. For more information, go to perpetualchesspod.com. Hey everyone, and welcome to Perpetual Chess 3.0. We have new music. I want to thank Geert Vandervelt of Chessable one more time for the music for Perpetual Chess 2.0, but I felt like it was time for a change, and I want to thank my Patreon supporters for helping pick the new theme song. It is called Leaps and Bounds by a group called Death Space. We'll roll with it for a while and then change it probably in a year or something like that. So we'll see what happens with that. Last thing, I just wanted to let you guys know there will be no show next week. I need a week just to catch up on stuff. But then come September, I'll be ready to roll, have some good guests tentatively lined up. And yeah, excited for the future and excited for today's guest. So this week's guest most likely needs no introduction to a lot of you, but of course I'm going to introduce him anyway. He is a 26-year-old grandmaster. He is one of the top 10 players in Canada. He has represented Canada in the Olympiad, the Chess Olympiad, of course. And of course, he is most well known as a member of the Chessbrahs. So Grandmaster Aman Hambleton, thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, Ben, thanks for having me. This is exciting. I'm excited to be here.
Thanks, man. I'm a little starstruck, I have to admit. I'm really excited to talk to you guys and you know, find out. I mean, obviously, big fan of all that you guys do for chess, but yeah, get the Chessbrah story. So, Aman, I wanted to start out by talking about a little behind the scenes look, because as we're recording today, one of your vlogs just came out and you were also streaming. You had a vlog from the Reykjavik Open, which is a tournament that has come up obviously with some regularity here on the podcast. And it was really cool. I mean, and it obviously took a lot of effort. So I know you guys have a few people helping you out. How does something like that get put together?
Yeah, we did just release a vlog a little bit late. I have to admit, the tournament was a while ago, but a vlog like that is one of many that we've done before, whether it's following us during tournaments. We've done some Olympiad vlogs, so some chess tournaments, also TwitchCon and different trips that we take. We've always tried to give a lot more than just chess, the personalities as well. So behind the scenes, take a look at our day-to-day, which is not always just chess. But this one, we did probably the most professionally of any of the vlogs we've done. And I say that only because we actually had our video editor for some of our YouTube videos. He actually came with us to Iceland. And he had the high-tech equipment. And he was following us around, kind of like a little movie. And so that felt pretty cool. That was the first time we've really done it like that. And I hope and I think that the quality kind of shows. Like to me, this is my favorite vlog that we've released. It did take longer than normal, but I'm kind of excited about it. It's the first time we've actually flown the video guy in and had him record everything in Iceland. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it, and I watched. To be totally honest, I watch more of your vlogs than your streams, just because I'm a working dad, yada yada yada. So I'm not sitting around watching chess as much as I would like to. But the vlogs I love because they make you feel like you're there. And yeah, the quality was quite noticeable. And you mentioned, and I wondered when I was watching, like who's got the camera. So when like that scene when you're at a convenience store, buying yogurt and orange juice, I believe it was, like, is it weird for you to be like at the store with the cameraman there?
So like I said, this is honestly the first time that we've really done it like this, where it's not just your friend with a cell phone, because that's a bit different. You're filming a video as your buddy on a cell phone. This is actually a guy that, tries his best to act like a fly on the wall and has no shame about pulling the full camera equipment out anywhere. And, he doesn't care. People are like, oh, what's this weirdo doing? It's like, doesn't matter. It's for the vlog. It's for the production. And he went all out. He held nothing back. And for me, it was kind of weird because it was the first time I've actually had that feeling. It's like a, miniature version of like paparazzi. Yeah. So it was kind of exciting for me. I was really into it. That's why I like streaming and whatnot. I like being on camera. It's natural for me. So I was comfortable, and I was just hoping that he would be comfortable. And when your video guy is is like working hard to get all the good shots, then I think it also makes you as the subject feel more comfortable. So I think we just played off each other, and yeah, we didn't care at all. We were going for the best quality.
And what about other chess players? Like, chess players, I mean, I've heard you say before, you guys, part of what makes you guys so popular is, you're, I believe you said you have more social skills than your average chess player, which is certainly a fair assessment in my mind. So when you're at a tournament and you're kicking it with people that you're friends with, or even just someone that you play, you might talk to for a few minutes. Are there instances where people say no cameras, please?
No.
Well, that's good.
I've never had that. I would be open to it. Although honestly, I think chess needs a lot more attention, not just from us, but media, interviews. People need to be more social, be more approachable. So I'd be inclined not to listen to a few people maybe, but yeah, no, I haven't got any feedback like that. And we did get one thing like that, but it was actually inside a nightclub in Iceland, and we respected that. So we just went to another one and asked them first. But no, I haven't heard anything from like the chess players or any of the people we hang out with. We always ask first as well.
So it wasn't that someone got too drunk. It was the club itself saying, don't do that.
Yeah, well, we just walked in and every club might be a bit different. Maybe they have their own promoter. Maybe they don't want you filming, might make people uncomfortable or something. So they were like, yeah, we'd prefer you didn't do that. And we were like, oh, it's fine, no problem. So we went to another one and just checked as soon as we walked in, and they were like, yeah, it's cool. You can film all night. So that's the shots from that nightclub we had asked beforehand. So it was cool.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, and given the legendary nightlife of Reykjavik, I was actually expecting a few more club scenes. Were some of them left on the cutting room floor?
Yeah. There was a lot more of everything. And I guess you always try to find that optimal time for a vlog, that people will still watch it. But at the same time, you can never include everything. So there was a bit more, but I think we tried to pick the best ones, the best moments.
Gotcha. And how much footage what percentage, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a low percentage, but what percentage of footage makes it into the vlog that's taken?
Yeah, very low. Let's say it was a 20-minute video or so. That's after probably 7+ hours of footage.
Wow. And who does the editing?
The same guy who filmed it.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's our video editor. He's been working with us for a while. He's outside of chess, and he handles. We have other video editors as well, but he's been the main one for a while, and he handles some of the YouTube stuff and especially the vlogs. He's been handling all of our vlogs that we've released on our channel.
Okay, and how many people do you have that you consider part of your team now? I mean, of course you have. It seems hard to quantify because you have sort of affiliated people as well, but like, how many full-time employees would you say Chessbrah has?
Yeah, I guess it's always, I mean, we have a lot of friends that join the stream, and, people that stream on the channel, I would never necessarily consider an employee, but there are some that are obviously more regular than others. So those people are sort of in a different category, but people that actually are, let's say, employed, I mean, it's Eric and myself, obviously, mainly, who do everything day-to-day, streaming and background work. We have a graphic designer, one main guy. We have probably two video editors for the YouTube / any video editing we might need, vlog, etc., stuff like that. So yeah, probably 2 video, 1 graphic. Eric and myself would be the main squad. But I mean, there's also two sides. We have the Chessbrah side, and we also have a whole other esports side that we're trying to get into. So we have different people that work for us on that side as well, but it is a little different from the chess.
So what's happening with the esports side?
We've been investing lately in PUBG. It's a video game, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. It's like a shooter, and there's a lot of video games that are pretty popular. Chess is actually growing as an esport, let's say, which is very nice to see online, and kind of taking after the model of some of the much more popular ones, the video games like League of Legends, Counter-Strike, and PUBG is kind of picking up. So we're currently investing in that, and that's just it's like Chessbrah V2, like it's a whole other thing to manage, a whole other social media, a whole other set of, managing players, and it takes quite a lot of time actually at the moment, but it's exciting, keeps us busy.
That's crazy. So, I mean, you guys have come a long way. I mean, you guys are crushing it now. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you have bigger aspirations, as you should. But I mean, you're on a good path. So what has it been like? Like, take us back to the beginning. Was there, I mean, so Eric kind of starts streaming. This is Grandmaster Eric Hansen, I think most will know. And at what point did you guys, at what point did it occur to one of you that this was gaining traction?
Yeah, so Eric and I have always been aware of each other through Canadian chess, that's for sure, since we've always been same age group competing in Canadian youth tournaments for pretty much our whole chess careers as youngsters. And then in 2012, we basically both were sort of between 2010, 2012, we went to university, and we had started streaming for maybe one other viewer, and maybe the one viewer was Eric watching my stream or me watching his or something. And we had done that on livestream.com. So this is back before everything. And we just did it because we were like, oh, it's cool. if I'm going to play Blitz or Bullet anyway, I may as well just throw this camera on if anyone wants to watch. So we always had a penchant for streaming. We always liked it. And then 2012, we both kind of collectively agreed to just drop out of school, drop out of university, and travel the world and play chess for a little bit. And we both gained a ton of rating. Eric became a grandmaster during those couple of years. And then in 2014, Eric started streaming from a basement in the Netherlands. And that was the first time that he streamed on Twitch under the Chessbrah name.
Okay, I came across in my digging research on you, I came across your website from about that time, I think 2012. So I thought I would read you the little quote you put. I'm guessing you haven't looked at this website since then. You say, presently, I'm 20 years old and I've completed my second year at the University of Western Ontario, studying economics and language, and my family and I still live in Ottawa. My current CFC rating is 2583. I'm now employed at the Parliament of Canada during the summer months and still actively compete and teach chess throughout the year. I've traveled a lot in my lifetime. Aside from moving across Canada, I've been to many beautiful international destinations. In the future, I hope to continue to travel the world, become a grandmaster of chess, and pursue a career in business marketing. So, sounds like you're right on schedule.
Yeah, fairly on schedule. The marketing is something we do all the time because we're trying to market ourselves, sell ourselves to advertisers, sponsors, and the business, I guess, the PUBG esports side is kind of the business. And I guess I've definitely been traveling a ton, which has been always a goal of mine and probably one of my favorite parts about what I do. And then I guess the streaming is going well, and I did become a grandmaster. So that's interesting. I am right on track.
Nice. Yeah, it's I was glad to see that. I wish everyone's old blogs and old testaments and future plans worked out that way. But I mean, it's nice to see that it can be done. And I don't think you went back and, you probably didn't put that up yesterday and just make it.
No, I didn't go. If you see edited as of, August 2019, then you'll know.
Right. Exactly. All right. So, Aman, as I mentioned to you offline, we have a bunch of questions from Patreon supporters. Obviously, people are excited to hear what you have to say and have a lot of questions for you guys, even though to my mind, you're the most accessible chess people. But I mean, just to hear you answer questions in a different format, and they can probably ask you about some different stuff. So we've got 9 questions for you. We're going to try to get to them all. And and just for anyone listening, all the Chessbrah fanboys who may not know how it works here on Perpetual Chess, people who support the show via Patreon and PayPal get advance notice of the guests, and they get to send in questions, and then I 9 out of 10 times ask them. So here we go with question number 1, pivoting off of what we've been talking about. It's from USCF Master Hans Schuh, who says, traditionally it was said that you needed to be a 2,700 plus GM to make a good living from chess. But nowadays there are so many opportunities to earn money: coaching, training, playing in sponsored teams, streaming, merchandise, chess camps, writing, commentary, etc. How lucrative is Twitch streaming for the Chessbrahs? What percentage of Aman's earnings come from Twitch? How much does Aman estimate that a super GM streamer like Hikaru makes from Twitch? And is there a rule of thumb, like every 1,000 subscribers pays you an average XXX per month?
Right. That's a
lot of questions in that question.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep track of it. Just because it's probably the easiest one to answer. I'll just grab the part at the end there. It's pretty easy to calculate someone's earnings just because the Twitch just works. That's pretty much $5 a month for a subscription, and Twitch starts by taking 50% of that. So if you had 1,000 subs, that would be 1,000 times 2.5. As your stream gets more popular, you start to earn more of a cut out of that $5. So you start to earn maybe like 3 out of the 5, 350 or something on a good day. And yeah, the more popular, the more beneficial you are for Twitch to have around. You can sort of lobby for a bigger cut there. But it's fair to always assume that half of that goes to the streamer. So you can do some math there and always more or less calculate someone's monthly earnings, at least just from the subscriptions alone. I would say definitely a large majority of my income comes from Twitch. I won't say necessarily subscriptions, definitely a lot, but there's other parts of Twitch, like especially donations and people cheering bits, which is like the Twitch currency, and then just regular donations through PayPal and stuff like that we keep 100% of. So those are other ways, and it's all like through Twitch, but it's not exactly subscriptions. So that all contributes to money that we make from streaming. But I would just say that Chessbrah as a whole makes up almost everything that I earn. So not just Twitch, but Chessbrah as a whole. So that sort of encompasses our esports things we're doing, just all the behind the scenes. Like we don't make a lot of money off YouTube. We have a merchandise store that we do make some money off of, although we never started it for that reason. So we don't make a big cut there, but we're psyched when we sell out of something or whatever, because it means people are like wearing it or buying it around the world. So there's a few different areas within Chessbrah that contribute to the earnings. I wouldn't say it's just subs, but the subs is the one where you can do a bit of math, and if you just go to someone's channel, you can see how many subs they have, and you can figure out more or less how much they're making per month. So yeah, I guess we're anywhere between 2,000 and 3,000 subs generally. Although at the moment we're way down because you take a week or two off streaming and you start to feel it. So we got some work to do.
Man, people so harsh.
Yeah, no, it's a short term, like a summer fling. You got to make sure to keep them interested.
Well, I mean, I've heard Twitch streamers say that. I've heard them say like, you've got to churn out the content, but I didn't know it was that quick a turnaround. But yeah, I mean, you'll win them back, hopefully.
Yeah, no, it's always an up and down thing, and it has to do with momentum, right? If the momentum's high, you're streaming every day. There's big things happening in chess, maybe big tournaments, lots of fun events. Maybe we have some special things planned on our streams, not just a normal stream. All that contributes, and usually when your energy's high, the stream energy's high, is reflected. So usually whenever the energy kind of goes down, I always think it's pretty fair. It's not like I'm working crazy hard and then it's not reciprocated. So it's usually pretty balanced. At least that's the way I see it.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Although, I'm guessing everything you do is like, you're not just kicking it on a beach for 3 months. It's like,
no,
like you're working on the business in some aspect, even if it's playing a tournament or something. But anyway, I mean, I get that people want instant gratification, and they're volunteering basically to support you. Couple other Twitch related questions. This one is from Dalen Shelton. He asks, what are some big challenges you had to face streaming chess, and what suggestions would you have for someone looking to get into it?
So I guess first of all, the concept of someone getting into streaming, you can imagine that we get asked that a lot. Not that I'm annoyed by the question at all, but I'm rather surprised that it keeps getting asked, because I have a pretty I guess repetitive answer, but I don't see a lot of people doing it. And it's just that when you're starting, or let's say you have the idea that you even want to stream, you have to understand, because you and I were just talking about instant gratification. Streaming is the opposite of that. You will never get instant gratification when you start to stream, unless you simply truly love doing it, regardless of anything. But most people have an agenda. They want to get a certain amount of subs. They want to get a certain amount of viewers. they want to achieve something from it. If you really just love streaming, you just like putting it out there, maybe that's a different story. But I think usually people want something from it. They want to make Twitch partner. They want to get a certain average viewer. They want to get famous. They want people to watch them and love them. And you're not going to get instant gratification. It doesn't work like that. We streamed for like, for example, when I was already telling you, we streamed on livestream.com. We were like still 2,900, 3,000 rated on the websites we played on. And there was like 0 people watching us. And we did that for like year, 2 years. We started streaming chess from a basement on Chessbrah with like 5 viewers maximum. Eric did that for a long period of time. So, and he was a super strong player, and he was playing like other GMs. So it's just that you have to stick with it, and the beginning is not easy. And that's the best advice I can give you, is that a lot of people just expect to turn the stream on, flick a donation button there. Maybe they're a GM and they're like, oh, I'll just get some money. It just doesn't work like that. You got to build up your personality. You got to stream regularly so people know like, oh, I can always find this guy on at this time, or I know I can come to this channel for, like late night action, for chit chat, for good music, for jokes, whatever it is. Like there should be a little niche that I think your stream fits into, and in the overall sort of ecosystem. And I think that you need to be able to envision some rough times, some 6 months to potentially 12 months or even more, where you don't make a lot of income from it, and it's really just putting hours in. I think it's easier now than it was before, but I just want to reinforce that we put a lot of hours in without instant gratification, and people probably have to be willing to do that. So that was probably the biggest struggle for us, but it's also tied in with my biggest piece of advice, is that it's not going to be easy at the start, and I think more people need to realize that, because I see a lot of people start a stream or make a whole big deal like, this is going to be my regular schedule. Okay, boom, they're off they're off Twitch streaming in like a week.
Yeah.
And there's you can foresee that pretty easily, I think. So yeah, if you are trying to get into streaming, I think you need to not be doing it if you're looking for a quick buck or instant gratification.
Yeah, podcasts are the same way. But I want to follow up a little bit, Aman, on the years of struggle. So when you guys were streaming and not that many people were watching, how much like I mean, I know you guys, you mentioned you enjoyed the process. You liked being on camera. Obviously, you liked playing chess and playing blitz. So how many conversations were you having with Eric? Like, man, no one's watching, we're not making any money, or was it just like, we're just going to keep doing it and you don't even really think about that?
I wish that there was more of a model story here, like, oh yeah, man, how do we do this? We're struggling. And then it's like, oh, chin up, man, we'll make it. But honestly, we didn't have many of those conversations. I think we both really like to do it. We already did it for like a year or two in 2012 or so, when nobody was, like, literally nobody. And we just thought it was funny. We could go back and watch our own broadcasts. We could see our games again. I could watch Eric stream, like I could watch him stream it, which was like a funny experience. So honestly, at some point we were probably just talking to each other when we were streaming before, but no, it was enjoyable. Like I'll even say, just more personally, I could feel down after like, a 6-hour stream and, 2 people tuned in, but it was never something really talked about, because I think we knew that. Some people might expect differently nowadays, like, oh, like, where's my 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 average viewers growing? But we were prepared mentally, I guess, for it to be a longer grind, and it was. So I think the best part about it was that we were prepared for it.
Well, I mean, that's nonetheless, you're to be commended. But so was there a moment when you were like, all right, people are starting to watch, something's happening here?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, becoming a Twitch partner, when we did it, is like nowadays on Twitch, they have like a sort of a systematic formula for achieve this, and you get partner. So you can sort of visually see yourself becoming a partner. It's like, oh, okay, I just have 5 more steps until this, and then I get it. You just get it. When we did it, there was an application. So it was all subjective. So we just had to look like a good candidate for Twitch to say, yeah, you're a stream that's going to do well. you're going to make us money. We want you as a partner. So it was much harder when we had to do it. It was more ambiguous. It was just like nowadays you stream and you have that pure goal. Like you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. When we did it, there was just a tunnel. And someday randomly there's light, but you had no idea when that was going to be. So hitting partner was probably the biggest deal for us at the time. Like now they have an affiliate, which is kind of an intermediary step. But at the time it was just nothing, partner. And if you were nothing, you couldn't get people to subscribe to you. So everything sort of clicked on when you became a partner at Twitch. So that was obviously a huge deal when we achieved that, I think. And that's when we knew that things were getting more serious. People could start subscribing. And it just felt like it got more official, I guess, around that time.
And how long ago do you think that was?
Well, I don't have to think, luckily, because we have people on our channel who subscribe and support us. And quite recently, we had someone, well, actually 2 people we have currently, but there's more to come, subscribed for 50 months in a row.
Okay.
So it's exactly 50 months ago.
Okay.
50,
so, yeah.
51 months. Yeah. So we just passed the 4-year mark there. And yeah, that's pretty much bang on.
That's awesome. And so you're getting into, I'm sorry, what was the video game called again?
PUBG.
Papa G. So you're getting into Papa G, but any plans of
PUBG.
PUBG. Oh, I kind of like Papa G actually.
I do as well. I'm gonna have to invest in that.
Yeah. So, but I'm guessing no slowing down on the chess content either.
No, it's fully on the side, as in it's not taking time away, because it's not like we're streaming that video game. It's just work that when we're not streaming and we might be doing whatever, we're just doing that. So it doesn't really affect our streaming. It's something that's cool. We obviously hope people like support it, or if anyone's interested in video games, and there are a lot of people that, you know, the crossover is there in chat. It's cool for them to be like, oh, like I play this video game, maybe I'll check out this chess channel, and vice versa. So it's not taking away from anything. It's not detracting. It's something purely on the side. But for us, it's very interesting because we see that esports is a direction that we want chess to go in, and we're actually getting into the real esports side of things in the hopes that, you know, between the chess, growing into esports, and the actual esports itself, one of our ventures is going to become incredibly successful, hopefully.
Well, I feel like you guys are already doing well. I mean, I'm sure there's always more to be done, but I mean, in terms of the chess world, you guys are shining a light. So, I would say just, you know, keep doing what you're doing. So with the business planning, I mean, how much time do you guys like? I mean, it probably helps that you're good friends and like hanging out and stuff. But how much time do you spend on business stuff? Like, I mean, is it just like all day, every day, basically? I mean, there's probably not much, I'm guessing, separation between sort of business and personal for you guys.
Yeah, not too much. Because anything to do with Chessbrah is kind of business. Anything to do with any other ventures it's all considered business. So pretty much anytime we're not streaming, I mean, I'm like, let's say in the background, we're running a whole YouTube channel, coordinating with social media stuff, graphic designers, video editors, and just all this back end stuff, continuing trying to make the Twitch experience as good as possible, whether it's the live experience, just brainstorming ideas about how to make like what you see on camera better, how to make the whole visual experience, like our board and our camera. You can slap those on a screen. Anyone can do that, but trying to improve the actual user experience has something we think about, you know, hourly.
Wow.
So that's always a focus, and that's definitely business. But yeah, I would say every day, whether it's things are not actually get done or not, it's always on our minds.
Huh. And speaking of sort of expanding the business and, you know, trying different things, of course, we got a bunch of questions related to the esteemed Grandmaster Yasser Seirawan. So I'm just, I'm just going to read you 2 back to back, and you could take it from there. So question from Timothy Ha, saying, how did the cooperation between Chessbrahs and Yasser Seirawan come about? What is your favorite, most memorable story told by Yasser? Which is a tough question. Um, and from Twitch streamer Apprentice, he asks, any plans for expanding Brah's contingent? How does one apply? LOL. And then he has a few, Seirawan, how do you keep a straight face when Seirawan goes off on one? Can you explain about Yasser's bamboo stick? And covering the world championship with Yasser, favorite moments. So yeah, you get the gist.
Right. Yeah. So first of all, Yasser, I guess I can just start by saying that Yasser's like involvement and cooperation with us is something that to me is just so invaluable. It's something I'm incredibly grateful for. It's probably one of the biggest reasons that we've become so successful. You know, people see Yasser and us on stream, and they get everything they want. They get the class and sort of like older generation reeling the kids in. He's got the stories, the wisdom, and then you've got the younger generation with the sort of testosterone and just like I guess willingness to do anything and strive for entertainment. And somehow it's a good mix. So having Yasser around is something that I'm really thankful for. And he didn't actually get involved with us through myself. It was actually through Eric. He and Eric actually just got thrown together, I believe, as roommates in St. Louis when they were both there for potentially different reasons, or they might have been doing commentary or something just around the St. Louis chess club. They have chess houses where they house people during special events, commentary, tournaments, whatever. And I think they just got thrown together as roommates when they didn't know each other, and just sit Yasser down on the couch, show him some Canadian TV shows like Trailer Park Boys, and crack open a beer, and you'll be best friends. So that's pretty much how the interaction met, and it just went from there. I think Yasser is, I think he does a lot of serious things like commentary, and I think that the Chessbrah channel is interesting to him. At the risk of speaking on his behalf, I think it's interesting to him because he gets to let loose, and he's a really charismatic guy with a lot of stories and a whole different side that he can't necessarily show on every serious type of broadcast. And I think he finds that the Chessbrah channel is a place where he can just sort of chill out, like that sort of extracurricular after school, just hangouts place for him to be himself and take the boots off. So I get that feeling whenever he hangs out with us. He's very loose, he's open, he's funny, he's serious and educational at the same time when he wants to be. And so that's pretty much where it started. And yeah, he's pretty much been a part of it in a growing capacity ever since. He's helped us reach certain goals. He's done commentary with us very regularly. He really enjoys it. And we love having him. So that's been a really good cooperation. And apart from that, we're actually getting Yasser to come to Calgary, and he's going to be here for a month. So
wow.
That's happening at the beginning of September. He's going to fly to Calgary, and he's going to stay here for a full month. We're going to cover the World Cup 2019, the Chess World Cup.
I love that tournament.
Yeah, it's such a fun tournament. I think it's going to be really exciting. And on top of that, we want to get Yasser here in person, so we'll just be doing regular streams as well. So that's like our next plan with him. So I mentioned like just increasing involvement. It's just every year there's Yasser commits more of his time and resources and energy into the channel, and as I've been saying, it's just invaluable. So.
And is he going to crash at your place and hit the clubs with you guys, or keep his distance?
Yasser's got tons of energy. We got the master suite all prepared for him.
Nice, that's good to hear. Yeah, and it really is the perfect fit for all the reasons you outlined. I mean, it presents a nice contrast, and when you see him in the St. Louis Chess Club broadcast and stuff like that, he's always got that glint in his eye. So you always know
right.
there's stories there. But I mean, it's a great fit.
No, he's got tons of stories. Like, I mean, there's so many, it's almost offensive to try to pick one.
It really is. Yeah.
I know that he tells some over and over again. Like he's got one that he likes telling during serious broadcasts, especially it usually comes out during the Olympiad. And the reason is because it's a story about like a team chess match. And so the Olympiad sort of rings those bells in his head. And he always tells the story about, I think it was the U.S. team playing against Mongolia, and how the U.S. player was sitting at the board and gets up during the move, during his opponent's move, and then comes back and is just baffled because he swears there's a different player, like a different Mongolian player, sitting across the board from him, and he's like, what the hell? He gets up later in the game and sits back down, and he swears it's a different one, like it just literally a different person sitting there playing moves, and Yasser was, of course, it's like trying to calm him down after, and he's like, oh, this is normal. These Mongolians, it's a 4-man team. They have one guy to play the opening, right, another guy for the middle game, a third guy to play the end game, and then the fourth guy comes in and resigns.
I have heard that story. Funny,
so he always goes off on these when he's in a team tournament format. But Yasser's stories are so pure and they're so Yasser that when you repeat them, it's almost impossible to tell it like it's your own, because you just have to be like, and then Yasser said, and then
right, yeah,
it's his story. There's no way.
Well, that's a perfect segue into your impersonation skills. So, I mean, you can do Yasser. I feel like it's better in video format, your impersonation. I'm guessing. I mean, you would know, not me. But anyway, since again, it's topical, and we have a question from a supporter of the podcast related. So from Vyacheslav Nemec, who says, how'd you get so good at impressions and improvisation? Did you take any classes?
I guess the definite answer is no. I did one thing. To even mention it almost feels unnecessary because it has nothing to do with, let's say, my ability or whatever. But it was one thing that I did when all the other kids in school had an option for one of our field trip days. They would like give us an option of where we wanted to go, and they would pretty much give you mainly your first choice unless it was full. And my first choice was actually nobody else's first choice, and it was to go to this thing called like Second City. I think it was called Second City.
Of course, famous improv.
Yeah. And it was actually to go there and do an improv class, and everyone else picked laser tag and paintball or whatever.
Was this in Chicago, or was it like a branch sort of thing? I mean, I know you're not from Chicago, so no. This was, let's say, a branch, but It was definitely like it was a serious trip. Like we went outside of our like school zone, let's say, for it. But yeah, like pretty much, obviously, as a kid, like I remember just go to play laser tag. But I was interested in it, so I won't say that taught me anything, because it definitely didn't. But it already showed that I was interested over other things like improv. I listen to stand-up comedians all the time, and I have since I was like pretty young. Even ones with pretty bad language or pretty, foul topics. I've always found it so funny, my family as well. So it's been pretty normal around the house. I'm always joking around, doing impersonations as well, like with my family. So it's sort of ingrained a bit, but it doesn't come from another family member. It doesn't come from anything. I started a club in high school. It started as a spoken word club, like a poetry club, but it was really just a facade for a freestyle rap battle club. Oh yeah. Oh man, you're hitting all the segues for me. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, no, I started this club and it became super popular, and everyone would show up there, like 200 kids crammed in a classroom at lunch, and the principal comes around and we're just reciting poetry, and then he leaves and we just start battling. So it was a lot of fun. It got everyone involved, and that's me thinking quickly on my feet, like coming up with rhymes. So I've always been like quick-witted and like able to think of things on the fly, and that is the most valuable thing for impressions. Like the accent's one thing, but it's almost impossible to listen to someone do a perfect accent if they've got nothing to say. So I've always thought that the most underrated part of comedy, especially when doing an impersonation, is anyone can hear my voice and be like, "Oh yeah, that's Yasser," but they'll never be impressed if I just say something like, "Hi, I'm Yasser Seirawan." That's just nothing. But as soon as you start going into detail and picking up on exactly what makes Yasser, then it's the story that you tell on the spot that makes it so much better. Like, it's 1923, and I was in the trombone section with Walter Schmidt, and I just couldn't stop looking at the four-leaf clover that was his eyes. And it's just all these, and as soon as you tell a story like that, to me, that's the impression. That's where it comes from. So I'm pretty sure that being able to think on my feet from all that sort of stuff played a big role.
And I mean, so you've got Yasser, you've got Hikaru. I feel like I'm forgetting one or two, and gonna have trouble stop laughing from that impression. But do you have others that you're workshopping? Like, do you have ones that you're like, man, I want to do this on camera, but I'm not ready yet?
So definitely the answer is yes. Like, there are ones that I workshop, and it's almost never intentional. And that's my favorite part about it, is that I never like pick someone and then try to do their accent. So I never force it. It's always like, if it comes naturally to me, or it's funny to me, or it's a hilarious accent, then I'd love to try to repeat it. So that's why when someone says like, oh, like do the Magnus Carlsen, it's like, well, I don't have the Magnus Carlsen. Like I have the ones which I can do, and I don't make a point of going out there and trying to impersonate people. It's just some of them just come naturally to me. Some of them are more funny to me, and I think I try to master those. But yeah, like a Norwegian accent, it's so hard to do. It's really hard to replicate. And then, you get a guy like Naka, and not everyone can do that accent, but somehow I'm able to. So it's also about like what I can and can't do. But I never try to force it. There's definitely some I'm workshopping in the background. I think when I watch movies, I get inspired, especially like, for example, I was watching The Foreigner with Jackie Chan, and there's some pretty funny Irish accents in that one.
Okay.
So I watch movies a lot, and I love to watch movies with accents, and I get inspired from that.
And do you have like a favorite comedian or impersonator in particular?
Well, I guess I've always been like, I really like the comedy style of, like, simply, first of all, Dave Chappelle is just hilarious to me. He's got that white accent. It's over here, officer. We've got to go to the scene of the crime. And then you've got like people who don't exactly do the accents necessarily, but they will pull a few out, like Louis C.K. I think that his humor is like hilarious. He's been in the news. That's all separate. I think he's one of the funniest guys. But he's got a few of the accents, like the Valley Girl.
Yeah, exactly.
And stuff like that. So I pick it up from all sorts. Eddie Murphy, Raw and Delirious from way back. Nice. I listen to all the time. He's got like some really, really funny accents in there. And those were always my favorite parts of people's sets was when they threw on an accent, because you can't just tell a story. It's like you throw on the accent, makes the story more hilarious every time.
Okay. Yeah, and picking up on the other half of the segue of what you mentioned earlier about freestyle rap, I know you teased in a video I watched that you're going to make a rap video with GM Vidit Gujrathi. Is that really going to happen?
The inclusion of Vidit was, I don't necessarily remember doing that consciously. So that's probably me joking around, as in like I would love to include him in it. I have no idea if he would like to do that, but I think it'd be hilarious. But the rap thing is not foreign to me. As I said, I have done it before. I naturally just think of things in my head that are like freestyle lines or good lines, or I really like listening to beats or instrumentals without words and just putting words over it. So that stuff's normal to me, but I am really interested. I've been so busy. It's just been a disaster. I am still going to try to turn that around for this year, but I need to make some serious headway there. I know that I could do it pretty easily, and I'm really interested in releasing something just to do it. I think it'd be fun, but it really comes down to finding the time for something like that.
You might need to grow a rap video beard. Don't shave until the video comes out.
Honestly, that would definitely get it released by the end of the year.
But don't worry, I'm not gonna. I think you've talked about the beard enough, so
it's old news now, right?
Yeah, we'll leave that one there. We have one more Twitch related question, and then for anyone, I don't know why anyone would prefer to. I mean, obviously, hearing you talk about chess will be interesting, but I mean, to me, this is the stuff that you're singularly qualified to answer.
Yes.
So, question from Mark Ebersabal, who I got special instructions how to pronounce his name. So hopefully I am in the ballpark, at least, Mark. Mark asks, how many computer mice have the Chessbrahs broken due to chess rage? What's the most expensive thing a Chessbrah has broken due to chess rage? Do you have optimal mouse settings for online chess? Have you ever been scolding? Oh, this is a separate one, but so let's stop there for a second. Let's stop with those.
So first of all, I'd like to be clear here. I've never broken anything. It's all Eric.
Throwing your partner under the bus. Okay.
Yeah, it's all Eric. He has definitely tossed a few mice. Spilled on a few keyboards. But that's like low scale stuff. It's just that we rage differently. People think that I don't rage, but it's just so different. I internalize everything. So I'm very silent. Whenever I'm very silent, I'm very tilted. Eric's probably the exact opposite. His volume goes up. My volume goes way down. So it's not that, like one rages more than the other. It's just different types.
Gotcha.
So that's the first thing. But it's also that we've definitely chucked a few mice and keyboards to the wayside. I had tequila spill on my laptop before. Kind of KO'd that one. I think and when we were streaming from Montreal, we definitely broke a whole closet and like a table or something because we fell. Although that wasn't due to rage, that was probably due to some drinks. And I also know that Eric chucked a whole chair across the room in a pretty famous clip on stream. So I'm not sure if that chair survived nor what it hit.
That's funny. And picking up the second half of Mark's question, which is, have you guys ever been scolded for assisting each other during online games? For example, sometimes you point out moves when you sit together during a stream. Mark doesn't think it's an issue, but he wondered if others ever do.
Yeah, and sorry, just because I know that I skipped over it, mouse sensitivity, I don't have a special sensitivity and I never mess with settings. I just... I spend the money on the mouse and then I don't mess with anything. So I think that like a $10 mouse and a $100 mouse, there's a clear difference. Some people don't. I think that there is. But it's always personal, depends on the mouse. So yeah, don't have any special settings, just to say that, because I know that was part of his question there. But as for the question that you just asked me, yes, definitely we have been scolded. You can imagine a lot of people take objection to us, streaming together, sitting beside each other, kibitzing, tossing out a random move here and there. And there's lots of times where I would be lost and, hey, I hear a move. Boom, now I'm winning. So yeah, I can definitely say, but I mean, it's online chess, it's blitz, it's fun. Obviously in a money tournament, we're not doing stuff like that. Like in a serious capacity, that's never an issue. And I think that trying to have an issue with it in a sort of fun streaming capacity is just not realistic. Like if people play video games and your buddy's in the back saying, "Whoa, careful, don't walk that way," like that's not cheating or something like that. So I have the same perspective. I definitely don't think it should be a big deal, although some people take offense to it. There's a pretty famous clip and an issue with I think it was it was Robin playing a game on our channel, and Lafong, who's a friend of ours, lower rated than Robin, so like FM to a GM, kibitz something, and first of all, I don't even think it was necessarily a good move, and it wasn't listened to, but someone made a really big deal about the fact that it was kibitz, and it was like a weaker player as well. So it's just everything was leading to like, like I wouldn't even. It's actually distracting. So we always make the argument that, hey, this is actually a detriment. So we should be complaining to you. Sometimes the kibitzing is not helpful, but yes, we've dealt with some pretty serious complaints about it. And no, I've honestly never taken them too seriously because I've never done them in a situation where I feel like I'm crossing the line. And I don't feel like anything related to Twitch and entertainment is that big of a deal. Plus, I honestly feel like we are suffering more than we are benefiting by the kibitzing.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as you say, as long as cash prizes aren't involved, I I don't think it's a big deal at all. So when someone raises a stink, what do they do? Do they?
There can be like an open letter, like they can write a letter, they can really complain, they can ask for a rating refund. So sometimes it'll go through chess.com, obviously, and it'll like circle back to us through them, and they'll be like, oh, so like this guy, this guy's kind of asking for his rating back or whatever. And it's never a big deal. Like, sure, if they want their rating back, they can have it. I never make a big deal back. Like it never turns into a discussion. But some people really, are old-fashioned, and I think that's fine. They don't want two people playing against them. And honestly, sometimes it does benefit us. Like I say, in the grand scheme of things, I feel like it hurts us more than it benefits us. But there can be an isolated incident where one person is subject to me receiving a move that helps me. And then to them, it's like, well, I don't care about every other incident. In my incident,
Yeah.
he got help, and he won because of that. And I can say that's true, but taking away that possibility, like kibitzing has probably been one of the most integral parts of chess since like the beginning of chess. Kibitzing is what everyone does. When the commercial before your movie at the cinema finishes, the first thing you do is you lean over to your friend and you start talking about it. You might even talk during it, and then the commercial ends and suddenly it's silent and you're yelling in the theater. But yeah, it's like everyone does it. It's just natural. So I think trying too hard to take that away would be very sad. So I hope that doesn't become a trend. I'm very against it when things are on the line, cash and everything. Totally agree. But in the entertainment sense, I think everyone should be pretty cool about it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we're gonna pivot to chess improvement, Aman. So first of all, I saw some of your blindfold videos. It's quite impressive. So, I know obviously, players at your level can generally play blindfold well, but how much did you train that specifically?
Well, I've never trained it. I actually don't think a lot of people do train it. There are a few exceptions, but most people train chess and visualization and calculation, and that just translates. I don't know many people who actually specifically train for blindfold. And I've simply never done that. So everything that I know from blindfold and my ability there is definitely all from just being able to calculate in my head, which every chess player practices day to day when they play. That's what calculating is. It's just thinking in your head. And then instead of looking at the board, you're just closing your eyes. And most people should be able to do that. I would say at a 2000 level, most people can handle a blindfold game probably. But it depends on time constraints, and everyone misses a move, and I'll always forget a piece. But blindfold is very entertaining for people to watch. I think that it's really cool to showcase because it really impresses people who are outside of chess, especially. Oh my God, that's ridiculous. He's not even looking at the board. It's crazy. And it's nice because for me, it's harder, but it's not that much harder than playing the game. So I like that there's a big imbalance between the how impressed they are and how difficult it actually is.
Yeah, I don't know. That's always been my line about simos. I feel like simos are kind of like a parlor trick, but blindfold, especially as fast as players like you play it, like, I'm like 2150 FIDE, and as you say, I can play a game, but it's like work for me.
Yeah.
But for you, it when I watch, it looks pretty effortless.
Yeah, it can be. It's definitely work. So if I make it look effortless, that's back to my improv class a long time ago, maybe.
Nice.
But no, it's definitely a lot more effort than normal. So I really am focusing. Sometimes I'm like annoyed by my own music that happens to be on. I'm like really
I
trying
wondered
to
about
focus.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the blindfold where I really don't want to lose, and I really do try to focus. So it's harder than I make it look probably.
And then you got to throw in the dance moves.
Yeah, exactly. And you got to look like you're just chilling, even though you're stressing
Right.
hard about like where that knight is. So.
That's funny. And what about your calculation training generally? How did you cultivate that ability?
I think that like for me, it was a sort of strange improvement process. I didn't grow up in towns with very good players. I grew up in East Maritime Canada. So a lot of pretty, well, honestly, weak players, like not a lot of talent out East Canada. Anyone was from like BC, Calgary, Toronto, Montreal. Anything east of that, there was strong players, like there was a few definitely, but not enough to, have someone improve to like a serious level. So I didn't grow up around very many strong players. I was generally the strongest, or I kind of crushed that area. I had a few coaches when I was younger that I definitely credit a lot to, getting me involved, and not so much like what they taught me, but it's just they made me love it. And I think that is so much more valuable because then I can do the rest on my own. They got me interested, or they saw I was interested and they kept me interested, and they made me want to study it rather than make me study it. And I think that was probably the biggest takeaway I had from some of my earlier coaches that I would mimic, and that I probably do mimic in the way that I teach now. But it's so much more valuable not focusing on just like reading a bunch of books. So I never read many chess books. I didn't have many coaches, just a few when I was younger, and then I pretty much stopped. So it was all me and a few coaches when I was younger, and then online chess and playing Blitz and Bullet on my own and my peers, and just playing as much as I could. Honestly, that probably honed most of my skills there.
Huh. And one of your coaches is legendary Scholastic author Jeff Coakley.
That is one of them. Yeah, I had two coaches that I credit immensely with my younger years. So Jeff Coakley is one of them, and I don't keep in let's say regular touch, but I hear from him every once in a while. And he wrote a few books. He still does some work, I think, with the national championship for Chess for Canada. And so he and I definitely worked a lot together when I was a bit older. But even younger than that, I worked with a guy named Mike MacArthur, and he was my pretty much first chess coach. And he taught me everything like, right at the start. Sadly, he actually passed away like super recently, so that was sad to hear. But he definitely had a big impact. I became a grandmaster, and I went to do a little simul thing back in Toronto, where I kind of grew up and everything. And he actually showed up to that, so that was pretty special. He had a photo actually of me and one other guy in Canadian chess, Shyam Thevandaran. He was actually both of our coaches, and we were rivals growing up. So it's kind of interesting. He's like super proud of us. Shyam, I think, is an international master now, going for GM, and I became a GM. So he was pretty proud of that. So he gave me that photo. That was pretty sweet.
That must have been a good feeling. So obviously you just mentioned you became a GM, but it took you a while, and it wasn't easy. So could you tell us a little bit about that experience? I mean, aside from the beard, just the actual experience of spending those years working on that title.
Yeah. First of all, I've never done anything more difficult. I think that the gap between international master and grandmaster is not to be underestimated. It's 100 elo, but it feels like 500 elo. I mean, you gain at such a slow pace, and if you have an amazing tournament, gaining 5 elo might be your prize, which is so small in the grand scheme of things. And you might gain all that elo and not even get a norm. So you can gain tons of elo without getting norms, and it doesn't matter. I've never done anything more difficult. I became an IM at the end of 2013, beginning 2014, and I was higher rated at the time than I am right now, actually. So there's been a whole 4 or 5 year period there where it was just a real struggle. The rating was just sort of stagnating. I moved out of Europe. I was in Europe when I was really close to becoming a GM, I think, the first time. I made a GM norm when I was an FM. So back in 2012, I actually made a Grandmaster norm. And that was my first one. And I was like, oh, boom, this is going to be easy. I'm already scoring norms. And it couldn't be further from the truth. So I moved out of Europe. I was living in Europe, playing chess, circuits there, leagues, everything. It was just immersing myself in very regular exposure. But as soon as you go back to Canada, it's you lose all of that. And that's sort of what happened. I didn't have regular tournaments anymore. I didn't quite get it when I was making the big push. And then it was sort of back to, we started streaming. Streaming took over, busy. And then in 2017, it was just everything in my life would change if I was a GM. Streaming would be better. our commentary would be more well received. The amount of gigs I can get as a GM, how serious people would take me as a GM. I knew that absolutely everything would change, and it was driving me crazy, honestly. I felt like I was worth a lot more than my IM title, but I understood that nobody could take me seriously until I had the GM title. So I just happened to play a tournament in March 2017, which was like the breaking point for me. I just lost to some guy in the first round of the tournament. I was like, okay, this is just atrocious. Like, what am I doing? I'm like streaming and then taking a trip somewhere just to like lose rating and then go back and stream is such a waste of time. And so I just said something crazy. I was like, I'll just grow my beard and I'll never stop growing it until I make it. And I'm going to make it by the end of the year. And I made it on December 22nd at the end of the year. So it's just in time, basically.
Wow. That's amazing. And did you have to, I mean, you're still running your business, you're still doing your streaming. So how much were you able to sort of ramp up your study? Like, and once you, I mean, it's one thing to tell yourself, but to do the work, how hard was that? And what sort of stuff did you do?
Well, that was, I mean, one of the things that we have that not a lot of other people have is 2 people streaming, which is quite valuable. So while I maybe take time off from the stream, Eric can still keep it active and running. And that's not the case for a lot of other people. Like, if you want to do something, you pretty much have to put everything else on hold. Becoming a GM, I can say, is not something you can multitask. And I was probably trying to multitask it ever since I became an IM, and it just wasn't working. So I found a lot more time to dedicate to studying because Eric, did some overtime shifts running the stream and streaming and just keeping that afloat. We got a bit of revenue from that. We had lots of donations from the people watching the stream, which was obviously directly correlated with me getting the GM title because those very directly financed some of the trips. And obviously our stream was a lot smaller, so the money we're making now wasn't comparable to back then. So even just taking the trips and being as active as a tournament player that I was back then was hard. So it was a lot on the people supporting both financially and just watching the stream and helping our numbers and everything grow. Eric for taking over the channel while I was like playing a lot that year, and then I actually dedicated simply more time for personal study on chess, which when I study chess and I know I'm working at it, I usually see results. And when I'm not, I don't. Like, it's pretty linear. It's pretty expected. So I worked really hard and the results did start to show. I did some sparring with some friends and actually read some chess books, took some notes, memorized some stuff, looked at that awful thing called theory. I did all that. I did all that. And I worked hard for about 9 months, and that was enough to push me over the edge.
What books did you read?
These were mostly kind of advanced, like theoretical books, where it specializes in a certain opening. So it'd be an opening that I'm trying to play, and there would be a book, like, for example, the Taimanov Bible was released around then, and it's written by these Serbian grandmasters. And then, I would basically consume the whole book, and that would be my Taimanov repertoire, pretty much be based off that book and my own findings as I went through it and analyzed or whatever. That was actually all directly from that book was the analysis that I used to beat Shirov.
I was thinking that, I was wondering.
Yes, directly from that. So
amazing game. Huh.
Yeah.
So the whole thing was prep?
Not the whole thing, obviously, but up till a certain point that after that I felt very comfortable. I still had to work to win, but it was definitely all prep up until a point where I knew the plans going forward and I knew that my position was good. So it was phenomenal.
How helpful is it to know that your position is good?
Not as helpful as knowing what to do.
Right. Amen.
It's actually infuriating when you know your position's good, but you don't know what to do. There's probably no worse feeling.
This is true. So, are you doing, like, I've heard you make allusions to you being sort of more technical oriented. I mean, on the other hand, you're obviously, as I mentioned before, you're strong enough to, you're good at visualization as well, at least, compared to the average chess player. But do you drill specific skills, or did you when you were during this period, or was it more just sort of tighten up everything?
It was tightening up the things that I didn't feel comfortable with, for an inexplicable reason. Probably just has a lot to do with my actual tendencies, like my human tendencies. I like some sort of visual aesthetic in the position. I like order, organization, like all those things contribute to me being a positional player. I almost never like to play chaotic positions where I don't like the way the position looks. I'm a very visual player. Like if I don't like the structure, I'm going to play it worse because I'm just not comfortable. I like things to look good, and I like it when I know my pieces are going to the right squares. And so I'm a very positional player in that sense, and anything to do with that always comes natural to me. End games have always been very natural to me, so I've honestly never studied them. It's just been natural. The positional side of things has always been very natural, and tactics have always been more difficult. Like I'm good at tactics, let's say just tactics, you might study them or something, but when they appear in a game and the position is wide open, tactical, chaotic, just completely unclear, those positions almost never go well for me. There are a lot better players out there that can handle those wild games. Sometimes I get them, and it's always situational. There are exceptions, but the general feeling is that a controlled positional grind or an end game, those are more my style. I'll always do better in those. So conversely, I would only study the things that I didn't know well. So I would study tactical, open, crazy positions in case I got them, or I would study openings because I hate theory. I don't like it at all. I'm a very natural player. I just play the move that looks the best or feels the best. And I don't have a lot of memorization. Like I play the London system because it feels very, very visually satisfying. And it has like very clear plans right from the start and not a lot of theory. Now, people have developed some theory in it because it actually got quite popular, but I was kind of playing it just without it, like just with plans and stuff like that. And it just was so natural to me. So the London system actually, by the way, got quite popular right when I was going for GM. That was the very beginning of the London system being like really popular at the top level. And it was so perfect for me. Like it was just so lucky. I used the London system to become a GM. And like then right when I became a GM, suddenly people were figuring it out and had good replies to it. So I rode this London system wave to become a grandmaster quite beautifully.
Nice. Yeah, it does feel like the craze has died down a little bit with the London. Speaking of openings, another topic that a few people mentioned, but one supporter of the show in particular asked a question is Rick Holland wrote in to ask. He says, Aman, please tell us about your undefeated opening, the opening you use in Blitz that looks like an England. I mean, you know what it is, but for listeners, this is the opening you use in Blitz that looks a bit like the England Gambit, except you trade a queen for 2 pieces and a pawn. What made you start using this opening? Do you find that it makes you a sharper player?
So first of all, it's there's a pretty common trap in that opening where I first of all, I hate talking about chess positions when people can't see the board.
Yeah.
It's a big pet peeve of mine, so I'm not going to do it. I
try to avoid it here. Every once in a while, it's unavoidable.
But essentially, the England Gambit, there's a very famous trap where Black seemingly traps his queen on b2, and White attacks it with the bishop and ends up actually just checkmating himself, I think, in like 8 or 9 moves is the trap. So there's a famous trap, and I started playing this on Subscriber Sunday, which is like a show we do on our Twitch stream where we just play the people that sub to our channel, and we do it every Sunday. So if you subscribe, you get your game guaranteed and stuff like that. So we've been running that show on our channel ever since we started streaming almost. And I started to do it against, obviously, if I'm playing subs, there's going to be some lower rated opponents, and I just want to catch them in that trap. And, if I do get them, then I explain it to them after, and they never fall for it again. And it's also kind of like, exciting to see a checkmate in 9 moves or whatever. So I started going for it because of that. And then I realized that people were actually playing a very good move against it. They weren't falling for the trap. And suddenly I was stuck because I wanted to keep trying this for the trap in the hope that it worked. But people started playing a very good reply to it where they would not fall for it and instead play what I think is the computer top choice. And so I was pretty annoyed that the first time that it happened against me, when I'm playing a subscriber, I almost never take a position that is open, tactical, messy. So what I decided to do, much to my character, was I decided to give up my queen for the two pieces and the pawn, as the question describes, and take a position that was positionally sound, structurally satisfying, visually aesthetic, but I was down some material. So that it sucked that I was down material, but everything else ticked the boxes for me. So I just started playing it that way, and honestly, I've had immense success with it. It's worked really well. I do not think that it makes me a sharper player. I think that's a wrong characterization. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think it's kind of just a BS opening at the end of it, but it does teach you some things. I don't think it makes you sharper, but it makes you appreciate certain imbalances. Like, you might understand certain positions where two pieces can handle a queen if all the pawns are on one side of the board. There's lots of positions of imbalance that I think I succeed in because I take positions of imbalance so much, especially on stream and stuff like that, where the result at the end of the day doesn't really matter. And recently in the Reykjavik Open, which was the subject of the vlog that was just released on our YouTube channel, I actually played this opening in a tournament game there, and I think I beat at 2150 or something. He didn't actually end up taking my queen, but I was ready to sack it. I'll say
wow.
that. I was going to play it over the board, and he just didn't actually go for the whole line. So he played something else, and whatever, I ended up still winning. But I was ready to play it over the board for the first time there. So I did play the England.
Wow. Is there a rating cutoff against which you wouldn't venture it?
Yeah, he was the cutoff.
Yeah, it seems pushing it a little bit. Yeah, I'll link to the, as you say, it's best served in a non-audio only format. So I'll link to one of the videos showing the opening in the show description, as well as, of course, the Reykjavik vlog. But that's great that you trotted it out there in a tournament. I didn't realize that. Okay, one more question, chess improvement question, and then maybe one other topic. Are you okay on time, Aman?
Oh, I'm more than okay. I'm having a good time. I'm relaxing. I just did a 9-hour stream, so you know that I can go the distance here.
Wow, man, you're my hero. Thank you. All right. So this is from Jason Willem, who says, as you may know, I've been a fan of Chessbrah since you were an IM, and we met at the St. Louis Chess Club. What amount of focus do you think playing online chess has helped you and could help me?
Yeah. Hey, shout out to Jason. Yeah, definitely remember him. Met him a few times, seen him rocking some Chessbrah gear over there in St. Louis. So first of all, earlier in our conversation, I think I alluded to the fact that almost all my chess improvement after a certain point was from online chess. So I had a few coaches when I was much younger, read a few books, but honestly, from like the 2100 to pretty much IM or 2500 ELO, 2450 IM stage was largely because of online chess, blitz and bullet, not even longer time controls. I don't think, people have different opinions. I don't think that it's fair to say that that's just bad for your chess. I think it depends how you approach it. If you play bullet and you're just trying to flag, it's not going to be useful for your chess. But if you're playing bullet and you're trying to train your instincts for a time scramble, you're trying to practice your quick tactics, then I think you're doing the right things. But anyways, I improved drastically because of online chess, and I'll always give that immense amount of credit. So for me, it had a huge impact on me. For you, like I said, some coaches, people in chess might have a different view, but my view is that 15-minute games are great for improvement. Longer than that is something I never venture into online because first of all, you can't always find someone who's going to take it as seriously as you. You might just leave the game. They might have stuff to do. I don't find there's a lot of reliability in people playing longer games online. So 15 minutes is the longest that I would play. Unless you're playing like a tournament where it's longer, then that might be a bit different. Otherwise, bullet, like it's all fine. I just think that you have to have the right mindset going into it, and then almost everything can be beneficial to improving in chess. It's just you have to go into it with the mindset that you're trying to improve, not that you're just trying to tilt away some stress on some bullet games. So I think with the right mindset, anything, especially bullets or bullet, can be extremely useful.
Are you reviewing the games?
It depends. If I'm playing a pretty strong player, I did used to archive my games and save them and add them to a little file and go over them a little bit, but only against strong players that I knew, recognized, or I knew were high rated. But definitely not just like any old game. But if I would get a good match against the GM, absolutely, I would go over those games. That's super valuable to me. So I would work on playing Blitz and Bullet so I could get my ratings high, not to say, hey, I got a high rating. It's so that I could potentially go lose it all away against a strong grandmaster, and that'd be 100% worth it just to get that match against them. Just got to get your rating high enough to pay the entry fee, you know?
Wow, that's a good philosophy. I mean, but I have to say, Aman, I wonder, because I've heard people like yourself and Hikaru Nakamura, perhaps most famously, talk about how much they learn from playing online and how much they learn from playing Blitz. But sometimes I feel like there's like a survivorship bias, because like so many chess players just love to play online. And I know you say that some of it comes down to approach, but like what could guys like you be doing so differently than others in terms of how they approach playing online?
Well, it depends what you're asking about, because if your mindset is like, how do I improve in over the board chess by online, that might be something different. Or if it's just like someone else trying to play online, how come I'm better than them at online? So I guess, which one are you referring to?
I guess not over. I mean, more tilted towards all over the board chess, but right. Also just general chess strength.
Yeah, I mean, for over the board, it's different. Not like, simply not everyone gets that. Like the whole online chess thing, using the mouse. Like some people are just against it because they see the concept of flagging with a mouse and they're like, okay, it's just all mouse skill. Like I don't care, and they just give it up right there. And so the motivation or the interest is not even there. You can use online chess to just play sparring games, like focus on getting a good rating, and then just play against really strong grandmasters and pretty much use it for that alone, and keep those games and analyze them and be very systematic and technical about it. But some players just play Bullet like 50,000 Bullet games. Like they just waste away time at that, and that's fine. It's as long as you are sort of aware of what you're doing. I don't think there's anything different about what I'm doing compared to other people. Now, I might be better with a mouse. That's different. People have different skills when it comes to actual mouse skills, because that is involved. But it's not like I'm a better chess player or anything like that. But you'll often see players who are lower rated than you able to beat you online, and that's not because they're a better chess player. It's because of all the things that have to do with online chess being exploited, whether it's mouse, whether it's pre-moves, anticipation, staying up on the clock, whatever it is. There's so many things that are specific to online. But I mean, Naka is obviously one of the best at it, because you really have to improve those things that are very specific to online chess. You can't just be a good chess player and expect it to transition.
Yeah. And I guess at this point, I mean, would you say, I mean, I'm sure, like, how, in terms of the streaming that you guys do, like, is it important for you? Are you still trying to get better at on like blitz chess and online chess specifically? Or is it more just, just, I mean, obviously you're super strong already, so it's more like maintain the level, play good players, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is that no matter what, when you're streaming, people, it's not that they need to see you with a high rating, but it's that the quality of the stream is going to be better, because people like to see you being the highest rated. You're going to get more viewers. People are going to be more excited. They want to see you hit a new personal rating goal. Mm-hmm. It's not about being the best. It's just, if my highest rating ever is 2,600 in Blitz and I hit 2,700, stream's going to be insane. Because it's like doing that on stream feels like you're doing it with everybody that's watching. Also, the higher your rating, the higher rated players you can play against, and then quality improves. So a lot of it is just about keeping the quality of the stream high. Obviously, I have my personal goals. Like, I always like to be high rated, right? I always like to be improving on my last game, improving on my last rating. So that's just personal. But yeah, I am still definitely trying to improve. I think I may have been stronger many years ago, maybe faster, whatever. There's all sorts of things. But there's also a different style to my game now as a grandmaster and as someone who doesn't focus on studying as much. I have a very natural style, seems to be suited to blitz and bullet, and I am still pretty good with the mouse. So it's a totally different style than I had before, but I'm still extremely competitive, put it that way.
And how much do you lose much rating by streaming? Like, do you lose any at this point? Like as
do you
compared
mean in real life, like a FIDE rating?
No, like if you were to play a game without distraction when you're not streaming as compared to like when the camera's on and you're trying to talk a little bit, do you play any weaker? Any weaker when you're on camera?
Oh, like exponentially weaker, definitely. Way, way weaker on stream.
Huh.
So yeah, however impressed you are by me on stream, just know that there's so much unlocked potential. No, but definitely worse. Like, there's no question. Reading the chat, any distraction like that. I think that the way I can answer your question is with a philosophical point that I've always made is that people say guys like Grishuk, for example, are magicians under time pressure. Like, he plays better under time pressure than he does normally. And obviously that's simply untrue.
Right.
He doesn't play better under time pressure than he does normally. There's no such thing. He plays better than his opponents do under time pressure relative to his previous strength or versus his opponent's previous strength. So it's like a relative thing. So I use that example because it's like, yeah, I think it's basically the same thing. It's all relative. There's simply no way that I play better on stream. Like, it's simply impossible. I have to play worse. Like, there are distractions, and it's impossible for me to say that those distractions are like somehow augmenting. Like, it's just impossible. So I play worse. That's got to be the case. And I think it's sort of following the same logic.
Yeah, I mean, they've done studies about like multitasking and, the effect it has on cognitive ability. I don't think it can really be argued that it's beneficial.
Yeah.
It's really just
no question. I play worse, but it's more entertaining by far. You share that moment with everybody. The win feels 50 times better. The distractions caused me to get in time pressure and have created some of the best highlight moments of my career because of it. So there are so many good things that I would never, there's no regrets at all. Plus, it's a free excuse if I ever get low on time. So, it's good things all around.
So what would be some of the highlight moments that it helped you produce?
Well, I mean, there's always the fact that if I had a minute in a winning position, it's just a winning position. But if I have 5 seconds, then you finish the game with 0.1 on your clock, and all of a sudden it's like the biggest highlight. So
right, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just funny that it contributes to everything because people get more on the edge of their seat. It's more impressive, and I feel the adrenaline rush as well as a result. So probably it also trains me better. Like playing that position with low time, eventually that transitions to playing a tournament game where you might have 30 seconds increment, but you still have to play a position where you might know you're winning, but hey, you have like time ticking down, and every move you have to play within 10 to 20 seconds of thought, and you don't have that luxury all the time. So when you get in those positions, I think it's nice to have a bit of training. So that's one thing that streaming definitely does. It gives you that quick thinking training right at the end of those games where you've been looking at chat too much, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, you see the red light flash where your time is under 20 seconds or whatever it is, and you're like, whoa, okay, I gotta start moving.
And you've obviously played, tons of strong players online. You've done matches against Hikaru and Ali Farouji. Am I saying his name right? Ali Farouja, the young Iranian superstar. I know you recently played.
Yeah, I just played him today, actually, on stream. Ali Reza Farouja, yep.
Ali, okay. So who's like, is there anyone that's been especially impressive in terms of all the people you've battled over the years?
Do you mean that I've been impressed by? Or
yeah.
I guess, first of all, I've definitely had the privilege to play a a lot of strong players, which has been awesome. I remember back on the Internet Chess Club, ICC. That's probably where I played the strongest players in the world, because back then I've had some insane ratings. As an FM, I was like 3,300 blitz, which was like
wow,
way up at the top. And so I played some matches against like Karyakin, which was like super cool at the time, just as like an FM, like way back when. So I played some really high profile guys on ICC, and it's sort of like I was saying earlier, it's only because my rating was so high. It wasn't like I was like as strong as these guys, whatever, I deserved it. Like maybe I could hold my own in a few games, but the fact that I got to play them was just because my rating was sitting right up there. So I used it to my advantage and got some great matches. I played Karyakin. Obviously, I played Naka a bunch, as people know. Firouzja is a bit more of a recent player, and he's obviously like extremely strong, but he's obviously young as well. So it's not, he's fairly recent. I played Magnus in the Pro Chess League, but that's a bit different. I haven't played him formally, just like matches on a website or anything like that in Blitz or Bullet.
Did you beat him once, or did I imagine that?
I was up a pawn against him in our Pro Chess League match, and then we drew the game.
Ah, okay.
And that was in a rapid game.
I mean, still not a bad result.
Yeah, no, I'll take it. I was black. I did win a pawn, and so I was happy with that. And I think what happened was I ended up seeing him at the Isle of Man tournament. He played in that tournament, 2017, and he was having a go at me. He's like, yeah, it's just couldn't believe that you didn't try to win that. So you played terribly after you won a pawn. I was like, well, hang on a sec. Didn't I win that pawn? Hang on a sec.
I love that he's not above talking trash to people like, 300 points lower rated than him.
Yeah, no. It's all good fun. We had a good time, but he was giving it to me, rightly so. Because right after I won the pawn, I was like, okay, I'm black. I'm playing Grandmaster Magnus Carlsen. Let's not lose this game. Let's like secure the draw. And in the final position, he was actually up a pawn, like in a stalemate position or something. So it was just, you could see that the collapse was there. I was just like, try not to lose, even though I was up a pawn.
Right. No, and I just want to clarify that I really do think it's cool, because it's in a sense, it's like a compliment if he talks trash to you.
Yeah.
Like if you're like a total beginner, he's not going to be like, you play like crap, because obviously you play like crap. So if he says it to you, that means that you're not that bad in a sense.
Yeah, exactly. You're on the radar somewhere.
Yeah. All right, Aman. So the last main topic is I wanted to talk about chess in Canada a little bit. I've been kind of slacking on the Canadian guests. I mean, I've had Grandmaster Pascal Charbonneau, but not a lot of other Canadian players. And I mean, that speaks to sort of, excuse me, a general sort of, I don't know how to put this politely, but I mean, Canada hasn't been as strong in chess of recent. And you had a tweet about a month ago where you said the Canadian Opening is happening at the moment, the marquee summer event in Canadian chess. It features one grandmaster, no players over 2,400 FIDE, and over only two players over 2,200 FIDE. My guess is it's the weakest Canadian Open in history. I should mention I did talk to Evgeny Bureyev, but
he may not have been Canadian at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But anyway, what do you think is happening there? Are there signs of hope?
Well, yeah, you said you might not put it politely, but you won't get it any more politely from me. It's definitely not good. Now, the question about improvement is always a bit weird to me, because it's kind of impossible to say no to that. I mean, things are going to improve. I think that's fair to say, but I don't think that they are currently or have the trajectory to improve at a very impressive rate. Things will get better just because over time they're not going to get worse, probably. They could, but I doubt that. Things are afloat in Canada. We're not like some third world chess country. We have some sort of infrastructure, but we don't have a lot of funding. Eric and I don't get some special support. The Olympiad team only very recently implemented a salary Players were definitely not getting paid previously. So things are sort of improving, but I still don't see the future of Canadian chess being that impressive. Like it has to do with the culture. So it's not something that you just stick a bunch of money at the top and it trickles down. It's like you have to put the money at the bottom and have the players work up. And I don't think we have the culture or the infrastructure for that right now. We don't have programs like chess in school. Like we have a chess and math association. So I'm not trying to put everything down in Canada. We have some good things going on, but if you compare, which I think is the best way to measure, we really lack compared to other countries, especially the U.S., which is right below us. It's just miles ahead with what they've got going on. We don't have big tournaments. Like I said, our Canadian Open, it's kind of our big national tournament, doesn't yield any players. Like nobody wants to come to it. There's no prizes. There's no good conditions. Canada doesn't have young talents. And if we do, sometimes we do, they don't get nurtured properly. They don't get taught the European or the, traditional style of chess. They get taught these, the coffee house weekender openings. And that's just kind of how things are in Canada. We have a lot of weekend tournaments. We have a lot of weekend players. In Europe, there's a lot of FIDE-rated events. There's a lot of 9-round events. There's a lot of norm events. All of those are kind of strangers to Canadian chess. They exist, but they're not regular staples. And it all generates a culture. Like when you have things FIDE-rated, when you have FIDE arbiters at every event, when everyone's sort of conscious of how valuable rating is, you get different type of players and a different type of maturity about chess and improving than I think we have right now. So I don't think it's in a great place. I think that it could improve a lot. One of the goals of Chessbrah has always been to popularize chess in Canada and also the world for us, Eric and myself. It's been a particularly important goal, but in the long term, we'd like to do something for Canadian chess, but we have our own things going on at the moment, and we also don't want to be just sort of the only thing going on. I think that it's improved a little bit, but I need to see a lot more. Like there are so many things I can just think off the top of my head that can improve that just don't seem to be getting implemented. Like we have almost no players in Canadian history. First of all, we have a lot of players that sit at the IM title. They just sit there. They're stuck. They don't become GMs. And the reason is that we don't have Grandmaster norm tournaments in Canada. Like we have a few. And the few that we have are usually populated by a lot of really strong foreign players. So they're not the type of tournaments that you can get your homegrown players to become a GM in.
Right.
It's like you're bringing in these heavyweights to punch your local guys around when you should be bringing in not very strong foreigners, have the average rating be like everyone's kind of around the same level. And it's like, the GMs aren't the most dangerous people in the field. But when you bring in some norm tournaments, I remember playing one in Canada where I played Hari Krishna, I played Ivanchuk, I played Wang Hao, I played Shankland, and I played Ganguly, all in the same tournament.
That's insane. I mean, it's a great opportunity, but yeah, it's tough to get.
It's a great opportunity, but it's a norm tournament.
Yeah.
So those are 5 2650 players, and obviously, like 3 of them were 2700s at the time. And that's 5 out of the 9 players. And my required score for the norm was 6.5. So it's like you expect me to basically score 50% against that field and 100% against the rest of the field. So it's just, there's some kind of situations where I'm just like, is this like how we get a GM from Canada? So yeah, there's been nobody who's scored a GM norm in Canada in probably an extremely, extremely long time. There's been a few homegrown Canadian GMs, but those are really older GMs, like none from recent years. And absolutely none of my norms, none of my anything came from Canadian chess. I mean, I maybe took some ELO, but no norms, nothing. It was all from traveling. And that's why so many Canadians are stuck at certain plateau levels, international master level, because there's just no norms to score in Canada. And it costs money to travel, and not everyone wants to dedicate that. Whereas in the States, I mean, you can play locally and you'll have like a fairly regular amount of norm tournaments. So there's a lot of opportunities that they just aren't there for a lot of Canadian players. So it's kind of unfortunate. That's why I see a lot of people sort of die off or stop studying or stop going for a certain title because it's just not easy.
Yeah. Well, that's a bit of a bummer, but I mean, I guess these things do go in cycles. I mean, I know before Rex Sinkfeld came along, the US wasn't doing so great. So, yeah, hopefully better times are ahead. I did want to read, we kind of stepped on the first half of a question from Scott McKinnon, but I wanted to read the second half because it relates to chess in Canada.
Sure.
So he just says, given the dearth of top-level Canadian chess players, how do you feel as being part of the Chessbrahs about being the de facto face of chess in Canada? And then he says, personally, I think you should be proud of what you and your brand have accomplished. Keep up the awesome work.
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, I'm very proud. Like, that's a word that I use just to reinforce that, like, a lot of players in chess switch federations. It's pretty common, actually, where there'll be a certain fee, a transaction fee. Certain players will pay a lot of money for very strong players from other countries, and they want them to play for their country, to represent them, to play in their tournaments, improve chess in their country, and maybe even play for their Olympic team. The U.S. obviously has done this quite effectively with a lot of players like Wesley So. We saw Lenier Dominguez, obviously Fabiano Caruana before played for Italy. So the U.S. is probably the grandmasters of that. But I'm very proud of being Canadian. So first of all, I would never switch federations. I love playing for the Canadian chess team. It's the only Olympic team that I would play for. And I'm definitely very proud of being seemingly a face of Canadian chess, as the question said. So I know that is the case, and I'm definitely proud of it. I'm happy to sort of carry that torch a little bit. As I said, Eric and I have always started the channel and just been interested in not only changing the stereotypes in chess and just changing the whole image, but also popularizing it not only worldwide but specifically in Canada. So that's always been a goal, and we think that we're doing that, sort of without doing a lot of active work, just passively. It is improving, or people are taking notice, and we hear about that. So that's nice to hear. But eventually, maybe some more serious steps would be interesting, and we'd definitely consider taking, starting some sort of chess camp or some sort of school or academy or something like that. I don't know. It's definitely something that interests me in general, because I feel like I know a lot of the answers as to things I can do to help improve or whatever, and I can't rely on other people to do them. But for now, I can't say that's a very near horizon type of goal, as we are pretty busy doing a lot of other stuff. But in general, that's something I'd like to accomplish, or I'd be interested in. And I appreciate that people sort of see me that way in Canadian chess, and Eric as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, chess generally, as you sort of alluded to, fairly or unfairly, it's been portrayed as sort of like a, obviously nerdy type activity. You guys are going to make it lean in the other direction. You're going to make chess players look too cool. It's it's unrealistic. But yeah,
rather have that problem.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have. But yeah, it's much appreciated. So just one or two more questions, Aman. So I think someone had mentioned this earlier in a question, and I think it might have fallen by the wayside with all the strings of questions.
Yeah.
But any potential future Chessbrahs? Any other Yasser-like additions in the works?
So not that it's necessarily an answer to that question, but a lot of people ask me how do I become a chess
Right,
pro?
exactly, yeah.
And first of all, there's no form that everyone's missing, or there's no, it's not like Yasser applied online or something. There's adding people on and stuff like that. It really comes from us being interested in the person. When we see Yasser, we see someone who can handle a camera, can handle a crowd, can be educational, entertaining. You know what I mean? He checks all the boxes. And I'll be honest, there's not a lot of people that check those boxes.
Not a lot of Yassers out there, yeah.
No, not a lot of Yassers, but even if you just think of someone who would be good at streaming, just streaming chess, I mentioned before, you got to stick with it, you know, I mean, you got to have dedication. You got to take some tough months, tough years at the beginning. Even just thinking of chess players that would be good at it, it's hard to even just off the top of your head name a chess player who is comfortable in front of the camera, talented at chess, and can sort of entertain and be a personality at the same time. And it's that last part, being a personality, that I think is so difficult to find in chess. So when we find that, when we notice that, we latch onto it. Like when we see Yasser, that's a personality. And I think that's the word that makes a good chess streamer right now. That's what to look for, and that's what we look for. So there's no like special new Chessbrah that we're like, you know, having pitching in the dugout over there. But there's definitely people like friends of ours. We've featured some special guests on stream, some of our colleagues, grandmasters, especially when we're in St. Louis or when there's a tournament happening nearby. You know, you'll see them just make guest appearances on stream. John Urschel is just kind of an example of a guy who's very charismatic, nice on stream. He might not be, he's lacking the talent, let's say, of all those categories I mentioned, but he makes up for it with everything else. And the talent that he lacks, he brings a very analytical, lower rated experience that people can relate to. So it's something totally different, and it works just as well. So John's a natural in front of the camera. We love having him on the stream. And I think the only thing in terms of like, you know, future Chessbrahs or other people we have in mind is just lots more special guests. Like we just have a lot of colleagues, a lot of people, a lot of friends of ours that we think are good on camera. They may not be a streamer. They're probably not going to be doing it full time, but Norway Chess was a good example. We covered that tournament with Yasser on our channel earlier this year, and we featured some special guests. So if you're wondering who's on our radar, basically check out our special guests from Norway Chess 2019, because those are all people that we think are good in front of the camera, great friends of ours, talented in chess, just a great person to have, charismatic, everything, ticks most of the boxes, and we think that there should be more of them on camera. So if you're looking for any type of like potential list, not that there is one, those are a lot of people that I think we'd love to feature more of on our channel.
Okay, that makes sense to me. And I know when you guys put the call out for an intern a while back, I know that Grandmaster Jan Gustafsson expressed an interest, although I think you ultimately ended up going with someone else. You guys hiring any more interns or anything on like the productions? I mean, I'm just curious because I'm guessing there are people out there wondering.
Right. Well, pretty much most of our roles, like you know, some of our interns have turned into like bigger jobs and whatnot, and you know, something can happen from that. We're not doing interns, that's for sure, anymore. Someone asked me that recently, and most of the people that we work with now are sort of more of a contractor employee. Like we're a lot bigger as a stream and as a company business that we're operating in that sort of way right now. So we're not doing the intern thing anymore, but we get people reaching out all the time with small projects like, hey man, I made this like cool intro video for you or whatever, you know, stuff like that, which is just really cool. And then we have some talented people that watch the stream, follow the stream, whatever, all that. So we still like entertain a lot of those requests and, you know, short-term things like that. But in general, not doing the intern thing. We have more or less our core group, and most of what we do is not so much a call to action like, hey, does anyone want to do this? We usually have people on our mind, or we like to reach out to certain people that we have our eyes on. At least that's how we've come across most of the people that we currently work with right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. Gotta keep an eye on the industry.
Yeah.
All right, last question. I'm pretty sure I'm on. I think I got all the Patreon questions miraculously, thanks in no small part due to how generous you've been with your time. But I got to ask this hard-hitting question from other half of the question from Vyacheslav Nemec, who says, we always hear Eric Hansen talking about Tinder. How is Aman doing in that domain? Does being a famous chess streamer help with the opposite sex?
So, yeah, obviously Eric and I are both on the Tinder, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the lifestyle of just traveling all the time and not having a lot of time to make these like sort of personal connections with people in your city, which is I'll be honest, it's kind of unfortunate. It's why it's kind of hard to get something steady. Not that, we're all like Chessbrahs are all against, steady long-term relationships. Like, not at all. It's just actually extremely hard to nail down because of our lifestyle. Streaming, traveling, chess tournaments, vlogs, like just all these trips and whatnot. So, yeah, I do put chess into Tinder. I don't try to hide it. I never have. I don't think that's smart. The whole point, like I said, is trying to change the image. So I put it there very proudly. And I'm like, yeah, I even put sometimes that I'm streaming or that I stream. But I put like, yeah, chess grandmaster, professional chess player is usually what I say. And I would say that it helps if the girl's already like into you, because if she thinks you're attractive and then you drop that like, oh yeah, I'm just like a professional chess player. It's what I do. I travel all the time. And I'm like one of the best players in Canada. Of course, she's like super impressed. She assumes you're the smartest guy in the world, which is great because, I'm not, but she thinks I am. So it's great. So there's all good things in that department. But I can say in general, it's not like a big, it's not like because of that, I have all these extra opportunities. I think that's the best way to say it. It's not because of that I have like extra opportunities, but the opportunities that may present themselves normally are like almost guaranteed to be good success because of it. So it helps with like people who already like me will like me even more and they'll be like really, really impressed by that. But that alone doesn't get like too many extra people interested, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense. And what about the move? Was that a good thing for dating life? You went from Montreal to, I'm sorry,
Calgary.
To Calgary. Us Americans are so ignorant about Canada. I apologize.
No, my geography would be just as bad down there.
So how's the move? I mean, I feel like Montreal, there's a lot of action.
Yeah, Montreal is a place that we spent, more time currently. So we moved to Calgary October last year. And we've actually been in two places. So October to December, we were in one place. And then January, starting this year, we're in a current place, which we're really happy with. Love it here. It's very comfortable working environment. But the Tinder and just like the girls, the dating scene in general, is so polar opposite. Not that it's good, not that it's bad. For me personally, it's actually bad. But that's just because of how different it is. So Montreal is like very European, very open, liberal. Everybody's sort of like into that short-term thing, which is like perfect for my lifestyle. In Calgary, everyone wants to like, go vegan and hike and have a dog with a pickup truck and get married. So it's just a totally different thing. And it's not that one place is better than the other, but one place is definitely better for me than the other. So I'm still struggling to adapt over here.
Yeah, that's surprising that you guys moved. Were you guys both on board with that? Did it take any convincing one way or the other?
Yeah, I can say that the Tinder was not a consideration. Otherwise,
such professionals.
I may have put up more of a fight.
Yeah.
But we were both on board with it. As I said, it's a really comfortable work environment here. I love the stream setup we have. I love our apartment. We got a good group of people we surround ourselves with here. So that's all really nice. And we're happy with that. So that's why work and stream and everything is kind of thriving right now. The only thing I could say that's just totally different and needs more adjusting and more time is the dating scene for me. But otherwise, I'm totally on board with it.
Okay. Well, all 4% or whatever percent of woman listeners to Perpetual Chess, give them on a shout.
I'm trying to increase that percentage. It's going to be 5-6% after you drop this one.
All right. Glad to hear it. All right. Well, Aman, this has been amazing. I just want to thank you again. This has been so much fun. Thanks. And I think most people know how to track you down, but what's the preferred method for people to follow the Chessbrahs?
Yeah, we're essentially everywhere. So I've got my own social medias, of course. I'm mainly on Twitter and Instagram. So those are just both at Aman Hambleton on Twitter and Instagram. And I do like respond all the time to DMs on both of those. I do get them all the time, which is awesome. I love to read them. People sometimes just say nice things. Sometimes they send me stuff, whatever. But I am pretty active replying to people all the time. So Twitter and Instagram, and obviously the Chessbrah just channel and everything about what we do as a company and entertainment business. You can find us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Chessbrah, YouTube, just youtube.com/Chessbrah. Twitter is Chessbrah, @Chessbrah TV. And that's where you find all the updates for like streams and like, giveaways, raffles, commentary, coverage, where I am in the world, if I'm taking a trip, if there's a vlog, whatever. That's like the hub for everything. So I definitely recommend following that. And yeah, otherwise we're just active all the time streaming on Twitch and trying to drop as many YouTube videos as possible.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'll get everything in the show description. But again, I think most people listening are already fans. But thanks again, Aman, especially after such a long stream. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure, Ben. I really enjoyed it. As I said, I was in the mood to chat, so I'm glad that there was a lot of questions. I appreciate everyone taking the time to put those through the Patreon that you mentioned. That's really cool to see.
Cool. All right, man. Well, have a good night and continued successes.
Thanks very much.
Thanks to everyone who helps make Perpetual Chess possible. Most of all to my producer, Matthew Passy, but also to everyone who helps spread the word about the show. That can be by telling a friend, by writing a positive statement on Twitter or Facebook or whatever your preferred social media outlet is, by writing a glowing review on Apple Podcasts or another podcast platform. All of that stuff helps. But most of all, I want to thank the people who provide financial support to the show. Without you all, the show would not be possible. So here we go. Thanks to my Patreon and PayPal Perpetual partners. I would like to give extra special thanks to the following people and entities: Chessable.com, Quality Chess Books, the Capital City Chess Club, the Apprend Chess Twitch channel, Andrew Bach, Austin Clough, Benjamin Handelman, Kathy Carr, Chad Oliver, Dan O'Hanlon, Danny Davidson, David Schreiber, I am Dimitri Schneider, Greg Natel, I am Greg Shahadi, Guven Monet, Jen Scream, John Jernigan, John Cromarty, Kelly Palmer, Lone Pine Chess, the law offices of Stuart Katz, Michael Kahn, the mysterious Moonmaster 9000, Seattle Chess Club, Thomas Tachenko, Todd Bryant, Todd Kennedy, and I'd like to give thanks to Aaron Waffler, Ace Vallega, Adam Ralph of ChessEngland.com, Adrian Gutierrez, Alex Pejas, FM Andre Terakov, Bill Moran, Brad and Andy Rosen, Brett Howard Lynn, Brett Zeldo, Brian Mullis, Chad Hilton, Chris Balcom, Chris Flanagan, Chris Wainscott, Christopher Baumgartner, Christopher Chabris, Christopher Wood. I am Christoph Zelecki, aka Chess Explained, Coach J's Chess Academy, David Kofer, Daniel Gell, Daniel Ginsberg, Daniel Lucas of the U.S. Chess Federation, Daniel Naylor, Dave Saylor, David Cramley of Chessable.com, Dwayne Edmonds, Ethan Smith, Evan Sagers, I am Elect Donnie Ariel, Fox Valley Chess Club, Frank Tortoris MD, Gary Andrews, Gary Lewis, Geert Vandervelt, Gerard Barta, Giovanni Russo, Han Shu, Harish Srinivasan, James Bonastia, Jason Woolham, Jeff Anderson, Jeffrey Martello, JJ Stranad, John Fernandez, John Fontaine, John Hartman, Justin Gardner, Jen Shahadi, Jerry Wells, John Thompson, GM Josh Friedel, newly minted IM Kare Christensen, WGM Katerina Nemtsova, Kelly Palmer, IM Kostya Kovyutsky, Krishna Gopala Krishnan, Larry Reiforth, Laura Belyavsky, Lucio Casada Silva, Matthew Knudsen, Matthew Passy, Matthew Tedesco of SeattleChessMeetup.org, Miguel Araspidi, Mr. Michael Shahadi, Nate Salon, Neil Bruce, GM Pascal Charbonneau, Passy Passanen, Paul Bain, Paul Clarkson, Paul Swaney, Paulo Santana, Peter Lux, Peter Merrifield, Randy Temple, Ricky Grijalva, Rory Yearwood, Ryan Berg, Scott Doherty, Scott McKinnon, Steiner Lima, WGM Tatya of Abrahamian, Thomas Stanix, Tim Brennan of TacticsTime.com, Tim Seymour, Timothy Ha, Tomas Kolmanich, Tony Rotella, Tyron Price, Victor Vrancoulge, William Brock, William Peterson, FM Zhao Cheng of Chess1000.com, and Zhivko Stoyanov. Thanks a lot, everyone. I will catch you guys soon.